Hello, Paulo Synthmania. Novation very kindly sent in the Launchpad Pro for review. Thank you very much, Novation. And you can use this controller with Ableton Live, but also as a standalone. You can control any MIDI gear that you have in the studio. Let's take a look and a listen. Alright, here we have the Launchpad Mark III connected via USB to the computer. Very easy to do, and the unit is very portable. Dynamic pads, a bunch of features that you can basically use this controller to control Ableton and other DAWs just from here, hardly ever needing to touch the mouse. Let's take a look at the Ableton Live main controller. You can see you have arrows here, and you can see there is a red area, a border for the first 8x8 squares. But if you need to control other squares to the right or the bottom, you just move around. And as you can see, it will scroll down to the right so that you can access the whole area of Ableton Live. And basically you can record, you can play, you can quantize, you can change the MIDI channels, you can record arm, mute, solo, change the volumes of the clips, change the pan of the clips, change the sends, and a bunch of other stuff. But let's focus on the three areas today. The Launchpad has 5 main areas of use: session, note, chord, custom, and sequencer. Today we'll focus on the session, the note, and the chord. There's so much to talk about this unit that I'll leave the custom features and the sequencer. We're going to use the sequencer when we do another video with external gear. Let's talk about sounds. Let's start with the note feature. Now let's select a sound. For example, the LFO pad, the purple column here, which is the 5th one to the right. So you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, and it's selected. Now we can play the notes to play this pad. And the way it works, the pink squares are the octaves, and then the blue notes are the notes in the scale. You can change the scale. Right now, the default loaded is the minor scale. So you can play the minor scale. And you can also go down octaves. Now, one cool thing about the Ableton Launchpad is that when you switch to a drum kit type of patch, it will configure itself as standard like MPC 4x4 grid. And it's great for playing beats such as...
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Let's change the sound. Let's go to the piano sound. To the right, to number 15, grand piano. Let's select it. And now we go back to the notes and we have a piano sound. Again, we can go down in octaves. We can also change the scale. Let's change the scale to major. Let's go to shift, and here you have the MIDI channels, the scales, a bunch of other different parameters, but let's focus on the scale. These 16s are the available scales. Right now the default is minor. Let's switch to major scale. Go back to the note view. And now we have the major scale. Let's change it to the blues scale, which, if I remember correctly, is this one here. And we can play some blues. There is even a Japanese scale, very cool. All right, let's talk about the chord feature. Similarly to the notes, this allows you to play chords. And a really cool thing is that you can save your chords as well on the right. And also this is a sustain pedal, so this is a piano sound by itself. Let's talk about chords. You can play chords, and the cool thing is you can save them on this column, these two columns on the right. So you have this. You can play chords on the right. And again, you can change the scale. This is a sustain button. If you press this, like the sustain pedal on a piano. You can save your chords on these two columns on the right. All right, let's talk about the coolest feature of the unit. Let's go to the session view. And the Launchpad is really designed to work with the session view in Ableton Live. As you know, Ableton Live has two views. This one is called the session, but there's also the arrangement view, the way you can just select it linearly and record like a normal DAW. But in this view, you can basically perform, and you can do all this from the Launchpad. For example, let's go to the session view. And let's scroll all the way to the left and to the top. And right now you see kick, snare, bass, rising pad, LFO pad, hi-hat, and so forth. We can navigate, as we mentioned before, up and down. Now with the session view, of course, you can trigger the clips individually. For example, this is a bass drum. If you press it, will start. Hi-hat here. Snare. There's a pad. Bass. Another pad. But the really cool thing about the Novation and Ableton line is the so-called scenes. Back to the extreme right, you have so-called scenes where you can arrange basically portions of a song in a horizontal fashion, where you basically build your arrangement using the scenes, and then you can launch the scenes according to the structure of your song. So for example, I created this song in live, and I have certain instruments here on the first section, which is the bass drum and the synth. Then the second section has the bass drum, the synth, and a bass. Then you got the bass drum, the snare, the bass, and the pad. Then the bass drum, the snare, the bass, the pad, and a hi-hat, and so forth. And this is a fantastic way to basically play Ableton Live like an instrument, but without ever touching the mouse, which is fantastic. And so let's try it right now. The name of the song is called Copper. We're going to start it from the top and play all the scenes to create the song. Let's start from number 1. Here it goes. In the next video, we'll cover some of the custom features of the Launchpad, and we'll also hook it up to external hardware gear and utilize the 4-track onboard sequencer. See you at the next video.
Check it out.